Welcome to Lawn Tips with Lou.
I've had several comments that have come up over the last few months, and I thought what I'd do with this episode is just take some time to address the comments. I have two reel mowers. I've got a Fiskars push reel mower and a California Trimmer power reel mower. I backlap both of them to sharpen the blades. For the Fiskars push reel mower, after removing the cover, the chain cover, and removing the chain to expose the sprocket that drives the reel, I attach a socket to that sprocket. And a question came up as to how do I attach the socket to the drill. You use a socket adapter, and they come in a kit. They've got different sizes, 3 different sizes. And for what I do, I take the one that's got the 1/2-inch adapter, and on the socket that I use for my Fiskars push reel, you just simply attach the adapter, and then you can then just fit this into your drill in order to do the backlapping process. Similarly, for the California Trimmer, I had to buy a special adapter to turn the sprocket that turns the reel, and you use the same adapter. You insert it, and then you're able to put that in the drill in order to do the backlapping process. I've had a few comments from people about backlapping their Fiskars push reel, where they've asked what I thought about adjusting the reel before backlapping to increase the contact with the bed knife. But I make my adjustment to the reel after I do the backlapping. If you've backlapped your mower before, you've probably noticed that when you start to add the grit to the reel, and when it begins to make contact with the bed knife, it starts to become more difficult to push the blade backwards as the grit begins to grind between the blades. If before backlapping, if I were to find that the reel and the bed knife weren't properly aligned where it was even all the way across the blade, then I'd make an adjustment before backlapping. But I just backlap first, and then I check to see if you need any adjustment in the blade after I do the backlapping. As long as the reel appears to be aligned properly with the bed knife, there's adequate contact with the grit in the compound to backlap and give a good edge on the blades without making any adjustments prior to the backlapping process. While I'm on this topic, let me read a section from the owner's manual. To check if the blades make contact, face the front of the mower and slowly rotate the cutting reel downward, one blade at a time through 1 or 2 full rotations. If the cutting reel and stationary blade make contact, the mower will be difficult to push and may dull the blade. So I kind of follow that advice. I don't overly increase the contact in order to do the backlapping process. Unless the clearance is so high that when you apply that backlapping compound that it's not making contact and you're not hearing any grinding as you do the backlapping process, then it makes sense to go ahead and make an adjustment. But you don't want to overly adjust it where you're making contact with the reel and the bed knife, because the Fiskars push reel mower, at least the Fiskars Stay Sharp push reel mower that I have is designed that the reel and the bed knife are not designed to touch. They're just an ever so slight gap between the reel and the bed knife, and it still gives you a good clean cut. For those of you who mow with a rotary mower, you'll want to keep your mower blade sharp throughout the mowing season. You'll know when your blade needs to be sharpened when looking at the lawn after mowing. If the grass blades have a jagged edge rather than a nice clean cut, then you know it's time to sharpen your blade. If the grass blades have a jagged cut, you may also notice that the grass may have a yellowish, dried out look on the tips, giving the lawn a hazy look. This is a picture of a lawn, and I took this picture last year, and I think there are a couple things going on with this lawn. One, I think they let the lawn grow too tall before it was mowed. And then the second thing is, this is an example of where you can see that the blade was dull. The lawn has a very jagged cut to the grass blades, which when they dry, they've got the yellowish tint to the end of the blades, which really give a dry look to the lawn. There are several ways to sharpen the blade to your rotary mower. One way is to simply use a hand file and hand file the blade until you get a nice clean edge. Here's a tool that comes in a kit. You attach this to your electric drill, and you just it has a plastic guide that you run along the backside of the blade, and then this grinding edge then is intended to give a sharp cut to the blade. I have this, I've used it, haven't really been all that happy with it, so I don't really use that to sharpen the blade. Another option that a lot of people use is an angle grinder. They use an angle grinder to kind of quickly go over the blade, but I prefer to use, just a table grinder. I've had a lot of success with it. I think it gives a nice clean edge to the blade, and it gets done fairly quickly. It's a matter of personal choice as to what method you use to sharpen your blade to the rotary mower. But one thing that you do want to do after each sharpening is go ahead and balance the blade. And I have a little blade balancer, and basically after you sharpen the blade, you just simply set the blade or balance the blade on this little gadget, and I give it a rotation to see if as the blade spins around, does it stay balanced. And if you find that one side of the blade tends to drop lower than the other, then you need to either file off or grind off some more on that side of the blade so that it can become more balanced. And you want to maintain a balanced blade on your rotary mower to reduce unnecessary vibration that can lead to other problems with the mower. I had a question as to what grit grinding wheel do I use on my table grinder. And that's an interesting question because my table grinder was given to me years ago by my wife's grandfather. And it's got the same grit wheel on it that it had when he gave it to me. And I never thought to look to see what the grit on the wheel was until this question came up. And to address the question, I did take a look at the wheel, and it's so old that the grit label has worn off. Okay, the grinder has two wheels, and they've got a different grit level on each wheel. The one that I sharpen with is this one, and just venturing a guess, and I could be way off on my guess, but I'm guessing that this one probably is about an 80 grit. But I don't really know for sure, and it's just and I'm just guessing at that from the field, because as you can see, any label that would have shown what the grit level was has long been gone. And as I say, this grinder was given to me years ago by my wife's grandfather. And just zooming in, and I don't know if you can make this out, but this is pretty old. It was, I think I believe that's the manufacture date, and if I'm correct, that's January of 1952. So we have a 70-year-old grinder, but it still works and it does a good job. I had a few comments regarding the dethatching attachment for the rotary mower. I've had a dethatching attachment for over 30 years. I think I was still in my first house when I originally bought it. This is it. And I moved out of that house in 1989, so that's why I know I've had this for over 30 years. But until this past spring, I hadn't used it in, many years. I've had it, kept it, had it on the shelf, and this year I decided when I did my spring scalping that I was going to pull this out and use it. When I've done my spring scalping, I've gone through a two-stage process. First, I would basically use the side discharge on my rotary mower and first go through the lawn and discharge the grass to the side, and the reason I did that was if I was scalping the lawn and just wanted to just bag it immediately, it would be so thick when you're cutting into that old dead dormant lawn that's been laying and compressing over the winter. The grass would get bogged down. The last few years, I'd go over the lawn and scalp it with the side discharge, and then go back over the lawn a second time with the bagging attachment to pick up all the dead clippings. This year, I was going to do it in a three-stage process. I just wanted to go over the lawn with the dethatching attachment and kind of loosen up the grass, pull it up because it gets matted down in places over the winter. And I just wanted to just bring that up, loosen up the grass before going through and doing the side discharge. What I found though was after going through and using the dethatching attachment, not only did it pick up the grass, but it cut through the old dormant grass pretty efficiently. So much so that I found that after I went through the lawn with the dethatching attachment, it wasn't going to be necessary to go through it that second time over with the side discharge. I was able to just go right through the lawn with the bagging attachment, cut through whatever the dethatcher didn't cut off or cut through, and just bag it directly. So the dethatching attachment, I thought, just saved me a lot of time. Is it dusty? Is it messy? Yeah, but not as messy as when you're blowing all that those dead clippings with the side discharge, because that's just blowing it all out into the air. You are getting some discharge out from under the mower, but it's not as bad as with the side discharge. So I found using the dethatching attachment was really helpful this year, and I'm going to continue to do that in the upcoming seasons. That's the scalping with the rotary mower. My rotary mower only takes the grass down to 1 inch, so I cut lower than that with my reel mower. So I did go over the lawn a few days after having scalped it with the rotary mower to cut it down to about 1/2 inch with the reel mower. There were a few comments asking where they could buy the dethatching blade. As I say, I bought mine over 30 years ago. I don't remember where it was that I bought it at that point in time. But I did check online, and there are several places that you can order the dethatching blade online, including Home Depot, and I believe even some Home Depot stores carry the dethatching blade in their lawnmower section. I had a question asking if I ever bagged my clippings, and for context, uh, this question did not come up or did not pertain to the spring scalping, but to mowing with my reel mower during the course of the mowing season. And during the course of the mowing season, I've been mowing with a power reel mower for the past 2 seasons. And as long as I mow the lawn frequently, about 2 to 3 times a week, I normally don't need to bag the clippings. If for some reason I've let the lawn grow too high between mowings, then I may bag my clippings, because these longer clippings may not always fall through the grass blades and turning yellow and laying on the surface of the lawn. If I do have a situation where I've let the lawn get a little too long between mowings, I'll put the bagging attachment on the reel mower. Another reason during the course of the mowing season that I might use the bagging attachment is if we've had a storm or some high winds and I've got a lot of leaves that have fallen from the trees. A reel mower doesn't mulch the leaves like a rotary mower would. It'll slice through them, but it doesn't really mulch them where they decompose. You can mow the lawn, leaves are still going to be laying on the lawn. So to get those up, I'll use the attachment periodically if I do have some leaves that have fallen from the trees, and I'll just bag the lawn to pick up any leaves. One person asked where I buy my lawn fertilizer. First thing, let me say that I'm not going to mention names. There are lots of good fertilizer manufacturers and distributors to buy fertilizer from. What I do recommend is that you read the fertilizer packaging carefully to make sure that the specific product that you do buy is right for the type of lawn grass that you have in your lawn. And this is especially true if you're planning to use a fertilizer with post and pre-emergent weed killers. You need to read the instructions carefully to make sure the specific product is intended to be used on the type of lawn grass in your yard, to make sure that the product will not cause harm to your lawn. The fertilizer that I use throughout the growing season has a 21-7-14 ratio of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, along with other ingredients. I buy the fertilizer from a local nursery which has the fertilizer formulated for lawns in this area of Texas. But there are plenty of fertilizer choices out there that do a good job for your lawn. I've intentionally used products that are readily available to the average homeowner to show that you don't have to buy a lot of exotic products in order to have a good-looking lawn.
I really appreciate your comments. Keep them coming. Thanks for watching Lawn Tips with Lou, and I'll see you next time.